Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the most intense stories you'll ever hear. A tale of a terrifying shipwreck, a prisoner who somehow becomes a leader, and a rescue that seems absolutely impossible. So, let's set the scene. Okay, so picture this. You're on a massive grain ship, and you are totally lost at sea. For 2 solid weeks, a monster storm has been tossing you around on the Adriatic. You haven't seen the sun, you haven't seen the stars, you have no idea where you are. All you hear is the screaming wind and the crashing waves. Everyone on board is just living in this state of constant, heart-pounding fear. And by this point, hope wasn't just fading, it was completely gone. After 14 days of this, the crew and all 276 people on board were just done. They were exhausted, they were starving, and they had all accepted that this was the end. They were just waiting to die. But then, on that 14th night, right in the middle of all that pitch-black chaos, something changes. The sailors, they get this feeling. They sense that we're getting close to land. Now, you might think hearing land is a relief, but no, it's a whole new kind of terror. They start taking soundings, measuring the depth, and the water is getting shallow fast. They know exactly what that means. Hidden, jagged rocks are just waiting to rip their ship to shreds. In a total panic, they throw 4 anchors out the back and just pray, really pray, for daylight to finally come. So as this new wave of fear washes over the ship, a crisis of leadership just explodes on deck. And it pits the raw survival instincts of these professional sailors against the divine wisdom of one single prisoner, the Apostle Paul. The sailors, they see their chance. They decide they're going to save themselves and nobody else. They start lowering the only lifeboat, pretending they're just putting down more anchors from the front. They're about to abandon ship and leave everyone else to die. But Paul, he sees right through it. He goes straight to the Roman centurion in charge and says something stunning. He says, "Unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved." Basically, if they leave, the deal is off. Nobody survives. And here's where it gets crazy. In this incredible moment, the Roman soldiers listen to the prisoner. They actually trust Paul's spiritual word over the sailors' professional know-how. They pull out their swords, slash the ropes, and their only escape route just drifts off into the blackness. Now everyone's fate is tied together. They're all in this, bound by a promise. With the ship anchored for the moment and dawn just on the horizon, Paul does something really simple but so profound. It becomes the emotional turning point for this entire nightmare. He turns to this terrified, starving crowd, and he points out a simple, hard fact. For 14 long days, they've been so consumed by fear that no one has eaten anything. He tells them, "You need to eat. You're going to need your strength for what's coming next." And then, he reminds them of this unbelievable promise he'd received from an angel earlier in the storm. It is an absolute, ironclad guarantee of their survival. This isn't just wishful thinking, you know? It's him declaring divine certainty right in the face of total disaster. So right there, in front of all 276 people, Paul grabs some bread, he thanks God out loud, breaks it, and just starts to eat. Can you imagine this simple, public act of faith and gratitude right in the middle of chaos? It was electrifying. And the impact was immediate. The original Greek text uses this word, euthymoi. It means that suddenly everyone was filled with good cheer. That heavy, suffocating atmosphere of despair and fear, it just shatters. It's a total triumph of faith. For the first time in 2 weeks, the whole group feels encouraged, and they all start to eat. So, with daylight finally breaking and a little food in their stomachs, they're ready. The final, violent climax of their journey is about to kick off. They see a bay up ahead with a sandy beach, and they make one last, desperate move. They cut the anchors, they raise a small sail, and they aim for the shore. But the ship slams into a hidden sandbar. The front of the ship, the bow, gets stuck, and it is not moving. So while the front is jammed in the sand, the back of the ship is just getting hammered by the full force of the waves. The stern starts to break apart, splintering into pieces, exactly like Paul had predicted. The ship would be lost, but the people would be saved. In this moment of pure mayhem, another crisis erupts. The soldiers, they're worried the prisoners will swim away and escape in all the confusion, so their plan is to just kill them all. But the centurion steps in again, Because he wants to save Paul, he forbids his soldiers from carrying out their brutal plan. It's just one human choice, but it turns out to be the final piece of the puzzle. That single choice by the centurion to spare Paul is what sets the stage for the complete and absolutely miraculous fulfillment of that promise made in the dark in the middle of the storm. The centurion gives the final command: everyone overboard. If you can swim, jump in and head for the shore. If you can't, grab onto a plank, grab a piece of the broken ship, and just hold on. And then the miracle. Despite the storm, despite the shipwreck, despite the chaos, every single person makes it to shore safely. 276 souls. That's not a casualty list. It's a testament to a promise kept. Not one life was lost, just as Paul had declared. So you see, this ancient story is so much more than just a shipwreck. It's this incredible lesson about what real leadership looks like in a crisis. It shows us that God's promises can be trusted, even when things look completely impossible. That even a small act of faith can totally transform despair into hope. And that very often, divine help shows up through the everyday choices of people. And all of that leaves us with one final thought. When the waves of your own life start crashing down, when all hope feels lost, what is it that holds you fast? What is your anchor?